We're back with another one. Quick little update for those of you who aren't familiar with me. I'm Lenny. I got a small brand called Loyal Link, and we are officially usually do lives on TikTok, but I've been trying to message everybody directly to get them over to this YouTube channel. So if that's you, I just want to shout out to you. I just want to take a few seconds just to say thank you for your support, and I'm really starting to learn the difference between real, genuine supporters and people who don't truly support, right? And it's usually obvious who a monitoring spirit is. It's obvious to me when a honeypot gets sent in, or whether it's someone that's a part of my G stalking. Like I have very powerful discernment, so I usually know instantly because I look at energy, right? So I'm an empath. I have top tier discernment, right? Believe it or not. And usually I can tell right away from the person's energy, right? Um, and then not to mention, not even their energy, but their words. So their words don't match up. My pattern recognition is able to look at key words. So certain words, let's say, like you're a part of a secret society and you all use the same wording, right? I'm going to pick up on that. So I always catch these people, just being fake, just being fraudulent. So if you come up to me trying to be fake and fake support me, I'm going to instantly know, even if I don't call you out, even if I don't say anything. That doesn't mean that I don't know. It just means that I've reasoned that it's not important enough for me to say anything. So if I'm not arguing with you or if I'm not debating with you, that means I've looked at the whole situation and I've decided that this isn't worth my time. This isn't important enough for me to, prove who I am or explain. Like I'm already looking ahead and I see it's not beneficial for me or the other person, right? And that's just the level of growth I'm at, guys. So that was a quick little introduction with a couple other facts about myself, guys. But just like the caption says, we're gonna be talking about the difference between people who isolate, right? Or should I say, who are in solitude? And let's just call it what it is. People who isolate and people who don't, because there's a very big difference. And I just dropped a recent video on my TikTok if you guys want to go check that out. Like I said, guys, we're usually on TikTok, so I'm slowly trying to, bring my 5,000 followers from TikTok over to here, and it's a very strenuous process. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, if you want to sub, that's up to you guys. I'm not forcing anyone to sub, but anybody else that came over from my TikTok, I really appreciate that, guys. Like I said, I just wanted to shout you out and just say, anybody who I'm starting to learn the difference between genuine support and people that have not so good intentions. So they have other. How you doing, Liliana? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's good to see you guys. Make sure you tap that like button. And yeah, guys, we're starting from scratch over here. I appreciate the sub, man. Thanks. Appreciate that, man. So I am used to talking to a lot more people on TikTok, but usually what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna be treating these like videos. So I'm just gonna treat the live like a regular video and just talk my shit and then sign off. That works. If that works for you guys, right? So feel free to drop any questions. Anybody that's watching on replay, make sure you also show some love too. I love YouTube because I can leave my lives up. So I can leave my lives on YouTube and you guys can go back and watch them and you can clip them and shit and can take like 10 seconds out of it and then you can make a whole video about how I meant this and how I meant that. So it's very easy for my enemies and monitoring spirits to twist my words and make an AI video if you want to. You guys can do that. So I'm a kind guy, man. I like giving my enemies ideas too. Especially, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but these G stalkers and the enemy has just gotten like desperate, man. Like they don't have no type of original ideas, no type of new shit that they're doing. It's the same repetitive garbage over and over. So kind of feel bad for him. So sometimes what I do is I drop some helpful ideas. I say, hey, if you want to do this, you could attack me this way, or you could do this. This might bother me a little bit. It's because I'm a nice guy. I'm a chill guy. Anyways, guys, I'm glad everybody's here, man. Well, the 4 people in the chat. Shout out to y'all. To just yo, I'm gonna say this a couple more times to anybody who got my message on TikTok and you truly read that and like you felt compelled to come and like, you know what, I'm gonna go, cause you truly support me. Like you've watched my videos on TikTok. What's going on, Austin? Good to see you, man. Like you watch my videos on TikTok and you can discern my spirit. So you know how passionate I am about what I do. You know how long I've been doing it, right? For at least a couple years now. I would say 2, maybe I don't want to say 3, but at least 2 years I've been doing this, right? And I've always expressed myself, right? I've always, like when I first started making content, I started doing stand-up comedy on YouTube, right? And then the Most High was compelling me to do something more, right? So I felt it in my spirit to make something more powerful. And then not to mention, I was going through targeting. So I'm going through G-stalking and I'm going through all these other things. But at first, I didn't talk about it. Like at first, like I was one of those TIs that just, I was denying it was happening to me, right? Like we all sort of go through a denial phase, right? When we're trying to hang on to our image, right? So if you're trying to hang on to friends that aren't really your friends, you're trying to hang on to family members who don't really give a fuck about you, and all these things, and once you start sharing your experience about being targeted by secret societies and cults, you know what comes next, right? If you're not already used to that. Well, people are going to start calling you crazy. They're going to start calling you paranoid. They're going to start saying everything but actually listening to what you're claiming, right? They're going to do everything besides actually listen to what you're saying is happening to you, right? And people don't just say this shit. People don't just wake up one day and say, "Hey, rough upbringing." Absolutely, man. Absolutely, 100%. And that's what made me as as strong and intelligent and as capable as I am, believe it or not, that the most strongest and capable people have rough upbringings. Almost every successful person in history, every single genius, like the strongest people have the roughest upbringing that were very traumatic. But where did I grow up? I grew up in Massachusetts, man. So, guys, when I come on here and I do this, obviously we're starting from scratch on YouTube, but I'm very passionate about what I do. If you can't tell, like I mean every word I say, even when I'm joking. Believe it or not, right? So, guys, shout out to all my TIs, man. If you're going through this, right, like I don't do the whole fear mongering thing. Like, I don't want to put out a message that's going to give you guys more problems, but I don't like to dwell on it either. Do I end up talking in circles sometimes? Absolutely, right? Especially if there's one of you guys and you ask a genuine question on my live and you say, "Hey, well, I'm going through this," and I can tell you have good energy and I could tell you're being genuine. Here's the thing. I read energy and my discernment and pattern recognition is from the Most High. So I can tell when someone's not being genuine or when when they're being sarcastic or condescending or, usually like what these G-stalkers and secret societies do, guys. But anyways, now that I just got that out of the way and whatever, all that information, let's talk about what the caption and what the video was supposed to be about, which was the difference between people who isolate and don't. So first of all, there's a sort of indoctrination and a sort of misinformation going around in the world that says that if you're a loner, right? Like if you're in isolation and you prefer your own peace over, being around fake people and being around toxic people, society will tell you that there's something wrong with that person. But psychology actually says something completely different, right? Now, maybe sometimes there might be something wrong with the person. I'm not saying in all, situations and, circumstances. But I'm saying usually people, and I'm talking about myself in this too, that are in solitude because they have made that choice and they are confident, they are secure, they are healthy enough to say that I will not be around toxic people, individuals. I won't be around any people that claim they like me, but show me differently with their actions, like attack me or, try to humiliate me or basically do a bunch of fake, nasty, disgusting things behind my back and then smile in my face like nothing happened. Yeah. So when a person decides that they don't deserve that and they say, wait a minute, I'm more valuable than that. They start to look in the mirror and they start to say, wait a minute, look at all these, what? I'm a loyal person. I have a good heart. I don't deserve this, right? And this is where the empath becomes the dark empath. If you're familiar with Carl Jung's research, he talks about his research from when people, integrate from an empath into a dark empath, which all that basically means is they stop being a people pleaser. So they stop apologizing for shining so bright. They stop trying to dumb themselves down to make everybody else feel more comfortable, and they start just being themselves. They stop apologizing for being as intelligent as they are. They stop feeling sorry for knowing the answer. They stop feeling so sorry for being the strongest one in the room, and that would be considered a dark empath. It would be considered, integrating your light with your dark, which is also called shadow work, right? And this only happens when you're isolated, right? Now, most people that see this automatically, if you have isolated, if you've been the type of strong person, and let me be clear, it takes the strongest. It takes the strongest type of people to isolate and look in the mirror and sit with themselves longer than anybody else can in society, right? And most people in society, they'll never do it because it's so unbearable for them because they're, in fact, running from their problems. So someone who always has to be around somebody, someone that always has to be with a friend, someone who always has to be out at the club, someone who always has to be around somebody, whether it's a family member, friend, is someone who is in fact running from their problems, who is in fact, they do not want to look at themselves. So what they're doing is what? They're distracting themselves, right? And we all have our own way of distracting ourselves. I'm not saying we don't, but what I'm saying is this person, instead of, isolating and working on themselves and healing their childhood trauma and basically all their flaws and doing the inner work on themselves, instead of doing that, what makes these people so dangerous and toxic to be around is because they refuse to do that. So they refuse to sit with themselves in their house for longer than 5 minutes. And what that does is it creates a very unstable, toxic, and not to mention delusional person. And now why would I say delusional? Because they're no longer in reality. They have not sat with themselves in years. Therefore, they don't know themselves. And what is that famous quote? Know thyself. The only way one can truly know thyself is through isolation, through solitude. That's when you really start to learn yourself. You start to say, okay, I like this, I don't like this. Oh, damn, I got this problem. I got to work on this, right? You start to get hit with waves of all the things you've been running from for over the years. And if you do not do that, you are in fact delusional. Because you don't know yourself. But you're calling other people out for things when you don't even know yourself. So, what is that famous quote or famous line in scripture? Before you try to get the log out of someone else's eye, your brother's eye, you should get the log out of your own eye first. Now, the reason why people who have isolated for years or a long enough time to do the work on themselves, the reason why we make people so uncomfortable is because we subconsciously trigger the fact that most of the people around us don't know themselves. So we trigger the realization, either subconsciously or consciously, that, damn, I'm running from my problems. It's like they get hit, like we become a mirror to everyone around us, right? Ever been in solitary confinement? I'm not going to answer that question now, but, maybe sometime I'll share that question later on down the line. But anyways, back to what I was saying. So when I'm pretty sure I got some videos and stuff like that. If you want to go watch my content, you'll probably see a video where I talk about, my past, right? So I'm a very vocal person. I have no problem talking about my past, but I just do what I don't want to do. You know what I'm saying? So if that's something I want to go in, if I want to do a live about my testimony and stuff, which I already have a few. So I already have a few lives where I go into my testimony and I share about my life, before Christ, before the Most High saved me from the life I used to live. So yeah, guys, if you want to go check that out, you can. If not, it's cool. So yeah, what I was saying about um people that have sat with themselves long enough to understand themselves, many amazing things start to happen because the person is forced with having to work on themselves, right? So you're by yourself, you're in your room, no one's coming to save you, no one's here to help you, and you're just like, damn, right? And I've had this realization a couple of years ago, right? When I first had to do it. And I'm pretty sure if you guys had to do it as well, you've had that realization. So you're sitting by yourself, you're in your room, you're like, damn, I got all these problems. I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with that. And then many negative, low vibrational emotions start to occur. You start to feel shame. You start to feel regret. Your mind automatically goes into the past. So you're automatically pulling things from the past that, you've already thought about or you've already worked on. And that can even happen even after you're healed. And that can also be spiritual warfare as well. But I'm trying to keep this live about the caption, right? But basically, spiritual warfare can be when the devil tries to remind you of something that the Most High God has already healed you from, right? Like all my sins have been forgiven, right? Even the sins from my past, they've all been forgiven. The Most High has, worked on me and restored me to a way where if that thought even comes back, I know it's spiritual warfare. I know it's some sort of witchcraft. It's some sort of attack from the devil, and I instantly rebuke it, and then it goes away, right? So yeah, guys, back to what I was saying about isolation. Those loners that you think that everyone's trying to convince you that are weird, like that guy never has any friends, or that female never has anyone with her. Instead of rejecting that person, you should see it from a perspective that's, wow, that person's confident. Wow, so that person doesn't need anyone around them to validate themselves, right? Most people need outward validation in order to function. Let's be real. In order for most people to function, they need to be validated by their friends. Hence why you've ever called someone and see someone like they have to ask a friend or they have to ask their mommy or their daddy before they do something. Yeah, that's the type of people they need to literally get permission. Like they need to be led. They're like lost sheep and they need to be led. And the reason for that is because they haven't isolated. Right? Now you can isolate and do absolutely nothing. I'm not saying that's not possible. It's definitely possible. You can isolate and you can go into solitude and you could just not do the work on yourself. You could get lost in the sauce and whatever. But what you're supposed to be doing, right, when the Most High God isolates us, right? And let me be clear, there's a very big difference between you isolating, like you making that choice upon yourself, and the Most High isolating. So right now, the Most High has me in isolation for my protection and for reasons that even I don't understand sometimes, right? But he does it when he feels like he needs to protect us from something that we can't see, right? Especially, listen, if you're like myself, if you're a TI, which is a translation, a targeted individual, if you're being attacked by secret societies, Freemasons, the occult and the Kabbalah themselves, right? And this could look like many different things. It could look like spiritual warfare. It could look like sabotage. Like these people sabotage me, everything I do, right? That's why I no longer tell people what I'm going to do before I do it. I just do it, right? Because I have, and I say spiritual warfare because it's also spiritual warfare, but these people send strangers into my life. I can't even go down the street without strangers knowing who I am or thinking they know who I am, right? I don't like saying they know who I am because they don't. They've been told about my existence. Maybe they've been shown, whatever lies or whatever, needs to be shown in order to manipulate somebody to get them to do your dirty work, right? And that's what's going on. A lot of people are being blackmailed. They're being misled And this is why we have organized stalking that's, out of control right now. But it's also being exposed. So I have a lot of TIs that ask me, they say, hey, yo, Lenny, should I share my story? And I say, absolutely. And they're like, well, people are going to think I'm crazy. I said, well, listen, that's what needs to happen, right? Just know that everything you went through, Christ went through before you. So being rejected, being called crazy, being all this shit, being ostracized, being called a demon, being called a villain, all these things Christ went through before you. If the world accepts you and the world doesn't reject you, like if you walk into places and everybody just loves you and everybody's like, yo, come join me, Lenny. Hey, come over here, Lenny. Like, yo, everybody's just, then you're not of the Father. It literally says that in Scripture. Case, fortunately, you feel confident, but some are insecure, weak. That's a fact. That's a fact, Oliver. And this is where working on ourselves, it becomes so obvious, right? Because we had insecurities, right? Some time ago, and we worked on them, right? Myself included. We've all had doubts, we've all had insecurities, we've all had these issues, but the reason why we isolated was because we ran towards our problems. We didn't run away from them, right? I've never had a problem sitting here and admitting I was wrong or saying, oh, right, you're right, I shouldn't have done that, or taking accountability. But if you see what's going on nowadays, that's a commodity. That's absolutely, almost extinct. So basic and simple principles in self-respect and basic morals to me and you might be non-existent in anyone else we come across, which for the most part it is, because people do not isolate, they do not work on themselves, they do not heal, so they're just collecting one injury after the next injury, which is inside here, right? And then now that's why we have a bunch of cold, sociopathic, narcissistic people all around us who are basically just the embodiment of insecurities, the embodiment of, fear, all sorts of low vibrational energy, right? And for me, I believe that's weak. Now, do I treat them any differently because I view their life choices as weak? No. But I do stand up for myself, right? Now, a lot of people, they'll have a problem with that, especially if it's the majority, right? So if you walk into a kava bar or you walk into a bar or you're just around a bunch of people that have been running from their problems, that have been running from themselves, which most people in society, it's the majority. So if you're one of the few that actually isolate and you stay to yourself and you're a loner, you're rare. You're the commodity in society. But you've sat with yourself long enough to know yourself. So know thyself. Now you're able to see the truth in others. Because only when one truly knows themselves can you see the truth in others. You can see the insecurities. You can see all the other shit that you already worked on and you already healed from years ago. Now you see it in other people. And you see it corrode people from the inside out. So a lot of people I see, they've made completely different choices than what I would have done, right? So they go through emotional pain or, they get fucked over and they do something that's fake or fraudulent, like they do something back or they refuse to confront the person about it and they make different choices than what I would have made. But at the end of the day, it doesn't make anyone better than who. It makes me different, right? It makes me a lot different from that person. So we're not defined by our mistakes. We're not defined by any of our issues, but we're defined by the choices we make, right? So who are you when no one else is looking? When no one else is watching you, who are you? Because that's who you really are. When the cameras aren't on you, when no one's watching, like there's no benefit in you treating a person nicely, but that's what you do behind their back, right? So when no one's watching, you pick up a piece of trash on the street. When no one's watching, you help an old lady cross the street. Like you're not on video, no one's watching you, no one's around to give you outward validation, no one's around to basically tell you good job, right? If you get to see someone like that, believe it. Believe it, because that's who they really are, right? Now, guys, The difference between people who isolate and the people that don't is the people that isolate know themselves a lot more. They're usually way more self-aware, right? Much more self-aware, much more hyper-vigilant. They're usually more intelligent. They're usually more capable, more strong. Um, if they did the right thing in isolation, right? Now, when I say when they isolate, they're working on themselves, they're praying, they're getting closer to the Most High, they're reading scripture, they're learning things about psychology, and they're rewiring their brain, they're forgiving themselves, they're healing their body. Whatever they struggled with in the past, if they struggle with substances, right? This is something that I had to do. I had to heal my body. My body's still healing from the hell I put it through, right? Because when I was struggling in my worst times, I chose to destroy myself instead of, taking out my problems on anyone else around me. Now, did I have a good reason to be an evil person? Absolutely. Many people see my life and they say, "What the fuck? You went through that? Or that happened to you?" Like, damn, they're like, they say this all the time. They're like, I would have been evil. Or I don't know what I would have did. Or I don't know how you do it. You wouldn't believe how many times I get told that, but instead, I still chose to be a good person. I still chose not to take it out on anybody else around me, right? I didn't go and blame my problems on anybody else. I didn't do that, right? Now, did I take it out on myself? Yes, right? So what I did when my mother passed away in my arms, right? So when my mother died literally in front of me, what I did was I chose to go out and, put a bunch of things up my nose that shouldn't have been up there, if you know what I mean. And just go do a bunch of crazy shit. Now, was I wrong for that? Absolutely. But I was in pain. I was struggling, right? So what those choices in my past that I've already healed from, that I've already worked on, right? That the Most High God has already healed me from, right? Because they're years old. All this stuff, guys, was a couple of years back. So a few years back, that's the life I was living, man. I was living a crazy life. Straight nuts. Straight movie certified. Fucking make what? Fuck 8 Mile, man. That fucking my life, man. Even my poor grandmother said it. She's like, your life was way more. What? She's like, your life was way more harder than Eminem's. She's like, Eminem's is like, she's calling it like nothing. I was like, oh shit. And she hasn't even seen the full, you know what I'm saying? She didn't even see the full amount of shit I've been through, which is crazy, right? So, how did I get to the level I'm at now? How did I gain the understanding? How did I gain the wisdom? How did I become this person you're seeing, which is healed, is intelligent, that knows myself well enough so no one can manipulate me? Nobody can tell me anything about myself that I don't know. And if they can, shit, I'll admit I'm wrong. And I'll be like, thank you very much for telling me that, But it's because I isolated. Or the Most High isolated me. So the Most High God put me in isolation so he could heal my body, so he could work on me, right? Because he needed to heal my body from all the shit I put it through, right? And then all the shit that happened to me as well. But we're not going into my whole, sob story right now. We're going into the difference between people that isolate and don't. Now, most people in society are the reason why I believe we're in a, and it's not the only reason, it's one of them. Most of the people you see walking around have never isolated. They've never sat with themselves long enough to admit their problems, self-reflect. They've never sat with themselves to maybe consider, like, hey, maybe that was my fault, or maybe I put myself in that situation. Let me forgive myself. They don't even acknowledge it. So everything they do, which is scary if you think about it. If you're really an intellectual, you'll find these people not scary on a physical level, but you'll find them scary because they're fighting against reality, right? They don't sit with themselves. So everything they do is feelings based. They operate out of emotion. So if you hurt their feelings, doesn't matter if you were wrong, doesn't matter if you were right, they're not looking at that. They're examining how you made them feel. And that's how most people in society operate. So when you notice that, you know that that's why all these fake people, that's why the fakest people in society are usually the most popular. Because they figured that out. that most people don't give a fuck how big of a piece of shit you are. They don't care how evil you are, as long as you make them feel good. As long as they get something beneficial, right? As long as they get something out of it. So most people will take the side of the dude that has $1 million because that makes them feel good, right? It makes them feel good in society because it gives them status. It gives them what? Validation. And now basically most people out here, especially the Western women, they're thirsty for validation. That's all they want. If you validate them, tell them everything they want to hear, you got some money to give them, sure, they'll let you do whatever you want. They'll tell you that too, right? I've had women straight up tell me that. It's crazy, right? So if you've isolated, you've learned not a lot, just you haven't learned a lot about yourself. That's where it starts. It starts in here. You start to learn things about others too that you didn't necessarily want to know. But if you're as hyper vigilant and you're as self-aware as I am, or anywhere near, right? Either more or less, then you go outside in your brain, you basically get something I call data overload. So you're just, because you've worked so much on yourself, because you've put the years of work into the way your mind works, your thought process, you have something like I have what's called metacognition. So if you have metacognition, you're able to examine your own thought process. So you're able to think about the way you think, right? So most people can't do that. Most people don't even have an inner monologue. Look it up. Scary, right? So they're not able to think about their thoughts. They just go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. So when they claim that, they don't like you or something, it's really not that, it's not that deep, right? Because most people, they're acting out of emotion. They're not in reality because they haven't isolated, right? They haven't sat with themselves long enough to know themselves. They haven't healed their past trauma, right? So that's what I basically wanted to come on here and say, guys. We've been on here for 32 minutes, and I gotta say, I know there's only one person in the chat right now. It's been a fire live. It's been awesome. I love all the comments and stuff. Shout out to the person that commented. Shout out to everybody that hit the like button. And just, yeah, guys, let me know what kind of lives you guys want me to do. I'm definitely open to, suggestions. If you want me to go deep into my life, I can do that as well. I have no problem. I just got to prepare because I got to, prepare everything I want to talk about. Even before I came on here, I had an idea of what I wanted to talk about. I had, a road I was heading down, Going down that road. That's what we was doing. Sorry. That was my ADHD. Anyways, guys, right? We're going to be starting from scratch on YouTube. So bear with me, guys. If you guys, anything you can do by sharing this live, by sharing my account with all your friends, and guys, hey, yo, check out Loyal Link Lenny, man. That's what everyone calls me. So everybody calls me Lenny, but usually because of my TikTok name, and that's where, I started making content. That's where I have 5,000 followers. It's my second account, so I would have had 10,000 followers, but the first account with 6,000 got banned, right? So if you add both of those up, this fucking guy's adding up banned profiles. Yeah, man. They was still my followers, right? But I'm one of those things that's called a truther, right? So I talk about things and I expose things that the elites, these G-stalkers, these secret societies, these cults, and these covens, they try desperately hard to silence me, right? And how might they do this? I'll elaborate. Well, what they do is anybody that's in their group chat or their Discord, let's say there's 500 people in their Discord or 100 people in their, that's basically considered a cult, right? So what they do is they tell everybody in that cult, they take a screenshot of my profile and they show everybody my social media information, and then they start to pay these people. They start to be like, yo, I'll give you a $5 gift card or a $100 gift card if you go and you report Lenny's TikTok live. And that's basically what they were doing to me, right? So TikTok doesn't support freedom of speech. So that's why I had to transition over to YouTube. I didn't have to, but I chose to. I just want to make that, put that out there too, because I don't want to stroke these people's egos, when these monitoring spirits and these weirdos watch this live, because they'll watch it, best believe, if they're not watching it now, right? They think that for some reason they're gonna be like, oh, we got him off TikTok. No, you didn't. I'm still posting videos on there. I just dropped one earlier, not even 10 minutes ago. So you didn't get me off TikTok. I'm just making the intelligent decision to switch over to here and restart. So, and it's gonna take a little while, but guess what? If I can do it on TikTok, I can do it on YouTube. I believe in myself, and not only that, I believe in genuine supporters are gonna find me. I don't like calling you guys followers because I like the word supporters, because followers seems kind of, I don't know, seems kind of undermined, you know. So anybody that has transitioned from my TikTok over here to YouTube, shout out to you. Like genuinely, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all, and I'm just starting to learn. I'm starting to learn. Like most people only hopped on Loyal Link, like they just jumped on the bandwagon, right? They were never really true supporters. Because some of them even said, "Oh no, I'm not gonna do that. No, thank you." And they're like, they've always been in my TikTok comments, like hundreds and hundreds of people claiming that they were my supporters, claiming that, oh, I fuck with you, I'll support anything you do. And it's like, I'm starting to see that that was, cap, right? So, any of you guys, if you're interested in making content, find something you're really passionate about. This is like the last piece of advice I'll give you guys. It took me a while, right? To be able to get to 4 to 5,000 followers, right? In 6,000 followers, whatever account you want to reference. It took me a while, right? And the second TikTok, I did it a lot more easier. I did it much quicker. I did it in about 3 to 4 months, right? That's how I know when I believe in myself, because I'm passionate about what I do. I believe everything I say, right? And not just that, I know my life experience and my wisdom is helping people. So I don't want to go as far as saying saving lives, but you know what? Everybody else says that. So I've had hundreds of people tell me that my content has saved their life, and I don't know if that's true. I can't, go and look into every account that said that, but it means a lot to be told that my content is inspiring them, motivating them, just helping them be a better person, right? And I'm referencing my TikTok. If you guys want to go look at that, it's legend _of _loyal link. So loyal and then link. It's legend of loyal link, right? And you'll see Loyal Link Lenny, right? I do got a different brand logo. It's my old brand logo. They're both still my brand logos that I created. No, it's not AI. I created them myself, right? So, yeah, guys, I've always been a very creative person. I've always been very expressive. I've always been good at articulating myself. And I just want to use my voice to do good, right? I want to help others with my story and just get on here and just do the best I possibly can, right? So we're going to go through what the caption says one more time before I end this. But we might be going live later on. I don't know yet. I was supposed to go live yesterday, but some things ended up happening. So for anybody who tried to join my live or was looking forward to the live yesterday, just know we're going to be coming in with a lot more lives. Like, I'm working on it, right? Right now, I'm really focused on getting everybody from TikTok, like all the 4,000 people over here to YouTube. It's gonna be difficult, right? So what was I saying? Okay, so the difference between people who isolate and the people who don't, right? Most people don't isolate, so they don't know themselves. They don't self-reflect. They're not aware that they're actively broadcasting their insecurities. They're not even aware of that. So someone like me or like one of you guys that is self-reflected and you sat with yourself and you're very guarded, you're very selective, like you don't just give your energy to anybody because you learned through trial and error what happens when you do. So you learned, when you were originally an empath and then you turned into a dark empath, which just means basically you're not a people pleaser anymore. You no longer dim your light. You no longer, you stand up for yourself, right? You don't argue, you don't debate, you stand up for yourself, you say what you believe in, and you're 100% you, right? So people like us who are very few out here, we're outnumbered, we're outgunned, are immediately attacked indirectly, right? Because these people are cowards, let's be honest. These insecure, jealous individuals who always need to distract themselves by hanging out with a large group, by going to the club, going to the bar. Someone that goes to the club and the bar every day, you know what they're doing. They're running from their problems, and they're very delusional. And not just that, their minds are very weak. So they don't work on their mind. They don't strengthen their mind. So their mind is easily manipulated, right? So people like that, which are most people out here, they have a very weak and fragile brain that it doesn't take a lot of effort for a psychopath or a narcissist to come along in these groups, right? And usually the narcissist and the psychopath will be in the position of power. That's like a fact. The CEO, every CEO in business, every like big position leader in power, or the one that's like a saint in the community, is usually the psychopath or the narcissist that usually does this grimy shit behind the scenes. And you know what? And they'll recognize someone like me and someone like you that's a loner. They'll see that as a direct attack to their position or to their power in that social hierarchy. And let me be clear, these people believe that they control their social hierarchy. So if they're the most popular one, you know, they got the good job, they got the car, they got the wife, and they got all these people around them and shit, yeah, they believe that they control all of you, right? And you're their puppet. It's very fucked up, right? You got to understand psychology to know what I'm saying. You would have had to research narcissism, research psychopathy, and all these other things to realize how these people think, right? Or you just had to have been around them, right? Some of us had family members, friends, and people we were around, ex-girlfriends that we were around that gave us a good something to go by, right? Now, people that like us that have isolated, have worked on ourselves, are aware of our flaws and are actively working on them. We, like I said, are attacked. We're usually pushed out of every environment we go to because we're a threat to the social hierarchy. Because not only do we see truth, we see who the frauds are, who's faking it, which is basically everybody in there, right? Everybody's masking, everybody's hiding. And here's the thing, they'll project and they'll act like that's you. And they'll team up. Sometimes subconsciously, sometimes consciously. So they'll team up, they'll form a group chat with their insecurities and their fears, and they'll all like create this cesspool of, justifying each other's toxicities. Right? So that's what insecure and weak people do. They create group chats and they form groups. And there's psychology behind this. I've even shared a lot of information about this too. So you can look this up. When jealous or insecure people feel threatened or they feel like there's someone around that can see who they really are, they go around and they start recruiting. This is a fact. They go around, they start recruiting others to join in on the hate. And what the other person will do is, tomato, they know the other person is just like them, is insecure, has something that they fear, or some sort of jealousy. And if you're just a real, genuine person in this year, 2026, everybody always has some sort of issue with you. It's because you're real. It's because you don't stoop to the levels they do, right? You don't people please. You don't if someone asks you how you feel about something, you genuinely tell them. You don't lie about it like they do. They don't do that. Like if they're trying to get a job or something, or if they're trying to get promoted, they'll kiss the manager's ass and they'll do all this shit in the social hierarchy because that's all life is to them. It's the group. It's something called groupthink. So if you don't know what groupthink is, I'd look it up. And usually at the top of these social hierarchies are the narcissists, or AKA the handlers. So all these people are getting handled under them. And what they're trying to do, if you're a TI, is they're trying to get a handle on you. They're trying to get a handle on me. And what they do is they basically send proxies and they send other people who are easily manipulated, guys. Like, I can link this to so many different things that's going on in the world, but it's the fact that these people don't isolate and they haven't taken the time to learn themselves, that they're easily manipulated. That a narcissist or a psychopath just has to walk over and play off of those insecurities that they're broadcasting. Because let me be quite clear, these people are broadcasting their insecurities, their fears, their desperate need for validation, they think they're covering it up. They think they're hiding it very good. But to someone like me and you guys that we isolated, so we've worked on ourselves so well to the point where we can now see it in others, it's like clear as day for us. Like we know every action they do is because of their insecurities. Like we know that they're only being rude to us and mean to us because they're insecure. We can see it. Like we can easily connect the dots to figure out, oh, this is why this person is acting like that. Oh, this is why, because it's they put it on full display, right? Now, we only would be able to know that because we isolated and because we've done the work on our mindset. We've learned how, perception works and all these different things we've learned while isolating. Now, these people, they're always actively running from their problems. So whenever they have a minor inconvenience, guess what they do? Hop on the phone. Hey, best friend. Hey, mom. Hey, so-and-so. Oh, I'm having a problem. You want to meet up? Translation, I have a problem that I do not feel like dealing with. Do you want to meet up so, we can forget about the problem? Or do you want to hang out so I can distract myself from said problem? That's what they're doing. Most people are running from their problems in society. They're running from working on themselves. It's literally all self-growth is a hashtag to them. So it's literally just a hashtag. They'll post about it all day on social media. They'll be like, oh, putting in the work, growing, self-help, self-work, and they'll post a few Bible verses, but then they'll just go out and do the same shit. Then they'll be around the same 20 to 10 fake, toxic individuals that they're around every single day, running from their problems, hiding, deflecting, projecting. And then anybody with the audacity and the nerve to show up who has worked on their problems, who does isolate, who isn't afraid to be alone by themselves for longer than 5 minutes, they attack that person. Because that person is a legit mirror and a representation of everything they haven't worked on. To everything they could be, but refuse not to, right? Because a person that's standing on their own by themselves shows confidence. It shows someone that, damn, this person doesn't have the same chains on his legs that I do. This person doesn't need a group. He validates himself. He doesn't need a bunch of fake people around him. Like he sits by himself. He's fine with that, right? Now, there's a difference between not having friends and making the choice, not being able to make a friend and then making the choice of not having fake friends around you. So, someone like me who has a very, very deep understanding of the world, right? Like we have the intelligence and understanding, which gives us so much depth to where nobody can truly understand us, even if they hang out with us, right? But not just that. Most people, right, that basically are masking, right? So these people that are masking and most people that are out in society, they're fake and they don't even know it. So it's like, instead of putting ourselves around these people that refuse to work on themselves, that think they're better than everybody else, that literally are in silent competition with everybody, that snake their friends, that steal from each other, that gossip about their friends as soon as they leave, we see all of that and we refuse to be a part of it. Now, are there some good people out here? Absolutely. And when I find those people, I make friends with them. But some of us do not tolerate the shenanigans. We don't tolerate the circus shit, Any clown behavior. Talking about your friend behind their back. Not meaning what you say, right? Not, basically just not being a good friend. Not being a good person to be around, right? And if you're a TI or a chosen one like myself, both, you're basically set apart for a reason. It says it in Scripture. I have called you as my chosen people. I have set you apart from humanity, right? That means he's taken you, the Most High, and has set you apart from humanity. You're not going to fit in. That's why, if you've noticed, that's why we've never felt like we fit in. We've always felt like we were aliens, right? Growing up in our childhood, we've never been the same as anyone around us, myself included, right? I've never thought the same. I don't understand why some people can do evil things, right? Like I don't get it. It doesn't like I don't understand why people don't just work on themselves, right? Like why they don't do this, so basically nobody has ever been able to understand me, and I haven't been able to understand a lot of people either, right? So, and that's biblical as well, right? So, if you're familiar with scripture, then you know that, the Most High's chosen daughters and sons are set apart, right? So, guys, like I said, it's been a great live. I want to try to do 1 hour lives. So, we're at 50 minutes. So, we're going to do another 10 minutes just to make it an hour. And, guys, anybody that's watched, shout out to you. I appreciate the love. I appreciate you guys, tuning in. I got a lot more lives planned just like this, man. I'm gonna try to do more with my content. That's what I want to try to do, right? Even if it's just helping one person, I'm fine with that, right? I see we got 6 likes, better than the last one. So, progress, not perfection. That was one of my lives, I believe. And yeah, guys, it's gonna be very trying at this point because I'm starting from scratch. I don't have 20 or 40 people watching me like I normally do on TikTok. And it's just, I don't have any type of notoriety on YouTube yet. So a lot of, my YouTubers out there, make way for Lenny, man. Make way for Loyal Link Lenny. I'm telling you guys right now, I'm calling it. All my YouTubers, man. Everybody that has been on YouTube for years. You guys are the OGs, man. So just know, make way for me. I'm going to be staying consistent. I'm going to be starting from scratch. And we're going to build it up just like TikTok. So it took me, my first TikTok, it took me, let's say, a year and a half to get 6,000 followers. The second TikTok I made, right, because they got my first one banned. That's what haters do. When the haters team up and they make something called the Power Rangers, the hater ranges. See what I did there? But anyways, that happened. I made another TikTok, and then in 3 months, I got 4,000 followers again. So that just shows me that I can do it. I'm like, wow, that means I really do have a powerful message, right? And that's the proof's in the pudding. So if you want to know if you have a powerful message, just start posting videos. And if it's slow at first, you got to believe in you. If you don't believe in you and you don't believe in your message and everything you're trying to do, right? Like my small brand, Loyal Link, if I didn't believe in that, then nobody's going to believe in it, right? And that's why I was able to put myself out there and get a couple 100,000, views and stuff like that. I got a lot of views that are like 40,000 views, 25,000 views, and it's just, I'm not bragging. I'm just taking the chance to say that really showed me that my content is worth putting out there. So was I proud? Yes. It made me proud and it made me accomplished because I put my mind to something and I followed through even though all the bullshit, all the attacks, right? And not to mention being a TI, we go through attacks way worse. So I have people actively trying to sabotage me, actively coming in my life to just try to discredit me, to try to send, honeypots my way and have these women talk to me to try to get information, right? Like all this weird shit, and I still didn't give up. And I still pushed through. I still believed in myself, in the message, because I knew I had it in me, right? I knew I didn't go through everything I've been through to be silent about it, right? And I'm not just talking about my targeting, I'm talking about my life. My life has been so eventful that I think, I could write a book. I could write 5 books. And a trilogy like the Fast and Furious movies. I could literally compete with that. That's how crazy my life has been. Well, I don't know, Vin Diesel, what I'm saying? My boy Vinny, man, he's gonna, I don't know about, Paul Walker and Vin Diesel. I can't compete with them, but you guys know what I'm saying, right? So, guys, shout out to everybody that has been watching. Guys, share this with a friend if you can. If you don't mind, it doesn't cost you nothing, It doesn't cost you, it's not like a subscription or anything. It's just showing love and being like, you know what? I fuck with this guy, Lenny, man. You know what? I see what he's trying to do. I respect it. You could respect as a man or a woman, you could respect anybody that is strong enough and bold enough to chase their dreams. I know I can. I know if I look at one of you guys and I see it, like I can hear the passion in your voice when you're talking about something, I instantly want to support it because I can relate. I can relate from my own experience. So if I hear you talking about something and I can see the passion, I can see the joy that comes off you when you're talking about it, like when I talk about it makes me want to support you, right? So that alone inspires others. It makes others want to chase their dreams, and it makes others want to start doing content. A lot of people have told me as well. They said, hey man, your videos really helped me on TikTok. I was watching them, and a lot of these people were targeted individuals. So they told me, they're like, yo, when I was going through my targeting, they're telling me their whole life story, and they're like, this happened, and then I seen your video, and your video really helped me get through it. But I like the people that say that. I like also, what I like more is the ones that say, it inspired me to start making content. It inspired me to quit my job and go work my own business. Like, things like that I like hearing. You know, I like hearing all of them, but I like hearing that more. All right, guys? That's the last thing I'm going to say. For everybody watching on replay, I'm leaving this live up, so make sure you tap that like button. Make sure you share. Don't be a hater, be an appreciator, right? So we got to get those t-shirts that say, don't be a hater, be an appreciator. And what that basically means is you're just not a hater, man. You know, you don't just go on people's lives to sit there like a weirdo, and you don't just sit there, you tap the like button, and you comment, maybe one comment, say, hey, what's up, man? And then that's it. Then you just sit there and you appreciate the message, and you're like, okay, I can relate to that. Even if you disagree with something, you know? That's what they say about intelligent people. You can hear something and be like, you know what, Lenny, I agree with 9 of those things you said, but the 10 thing you said, I don't agree with that. Even if, you know what, I don't even care if you agree with the targeted individual shit, right? I'm just sharing my experience, right? A lot of people, you might be a regular civilian and you might not be woken up to what's going on out here. Now, I'm not saying, you know, you're wrong for that, but I'm saying that only people who know about this shit have either gone through it, are a part of it, or nothing, they haven't seen anything that basically awakens or activates this truth, right? So they don't think that this shit's actually going on out here. They don't think that there's secret societies and cults and these groups of weirdos that do crimes and do weird things, right? So they don't know about revenge for hire groups. They don't know about all this crazy shit out here, right? And I didn't either until it started happening to me. So when it happened to me, that's when I was like, damn, I guess I know now, right? So guys, just know, we're not stopping, all right, guys? We're not just isolated, right? The Most High may have me in isolation, but he's been working on me, and I'm back. I'm better than ever, right? Nobody stopped nothing. So anybody on TikTok, you know, they try to tell you that, oh, we got Lenny's live shut off, or, oh, we hated on him so much, and we sat on his live and pretended to support him, and we kept hitting the report button. Just know they're lames, they're cornballs, and they're only hating on me because they don't have the balls to do anything themselves, right? So they don't have the balls to tell me to their face that they have a problem with me. They don't have the balls to chase their dreams, right? And that's why we're going to show them with our actions what it looks like when you're chasing your dreams, when you're passionately pursuing something you believe in, and when you're going to share your testimony, and it's going to be beautiful, right, guys? For everybody that watched, it's your boy Loyal Link Lenny. And just know, guys, we're going to be back. We're going. Guys, like I said in the post before, I'm feeling really passionate. I'm feeling really pumped up. So, guys, we just got a lot of things coming, man. We got a lot of things coming. But anybody that watched, I love you guys. And I'll see you soon. Peace.